Well, greetings and hello there, everyone. It's me, your beloved Star Wars Dad, Nooch Too Good here. You know, something came up this week. We were talking on stream, and just a little bubble for me. I don't think I've ever talked about the worst teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and I'll tell you immediately why I've never really talked about the worst teams in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And the reason is that this game, unlike a lot of other games, works really hard. Capital Games works really, really hard to keep every team and character relevant at some level of the game in some game mode of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. So I'm not willing to say that there are completely useless teams in this game. However, I think we've got a clear, like, bottom 5 teams that you have to farm to get other stuff. We'll tell you, like, for instance, you know, Phasma's up here, right here. You know, you got to farm the Phasma team to get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and yeah, she ends up being kind of useless. We'll talk about that in a second. So that's what we're here to discuss today: the 5 worst teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, with the caveat that in this game, we've always got ways of making teams and characters relevant again. You've got Datacrons that will come out that'll make a Phasma awesome in Grand Arena or Territory Wars or whatever. You can make any of these teams awesome, and it happens all the time that these Datacrons come out. But you also get Omicrons added later on, Zetas, Omicrons, etc. So these teams continue to come back to relevance, new characters added to lift old teams. That's been one of the best and one of the biggest strengths of this game, is continuing to keep old teams relevant, or giving them some kind of like a new assault battle that they work in, stuff like that. All right. With all that said, let's get started with Captain Phasma. I just think she's just a bottom of the barrel team. When I go into Grand Arena, you might even have a first order pilot Omicron, which you've had the misfortune of applying because it looks really cool. This first order TIE pilot Omicron, while in Grand Arenas, if there's no Galactic Legend allies, everybody gets a plus 30% chance to, well, first order TIE pilot, plus 30% chance to gain foresight. At the start of the encounter, everybody gains 50% max health. Whenever an ally has advantage, they gain plus 50% critical damage and speed. Blah, 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 blah. Whenever you see these long descriptions, usually feel pretty good about it. I'm going to be honest. If I see a Phasma in Grand Arena, even if there's a first order TIE pilot, I just wampa the crap out of that thing, and it's no concern. And I do know that Phasma has a decent Territory Wars Omicron for, you know, the early to mid-game levels of Territory Wars. Additional 10% chance to call a random ally to assist. Captain Phasma has plus 100 speed. Whenever a first order ally attacks on a turn, first order allies recover health protection. We use this for a while on Territory Wars in my guild, but I'll just tell you, when I went out and did a search for the Captain Phasma Omicron, of course, here's I find this amusing. Otto gives a big ad 3 years ago when it first came out that this is going to lift her 0 to hero. Yeah, okay. Is it busted? Okay, whenever this is why I tend to not like get excited about Omicrons and reworks and stuff, because they look really good at the start and then they just fade really, really fast. So here you go. Never lose to Phasma Omicron again, says Glurmit. And he's just throwing a, like, it's just a Padme team he's throwing out there. That's no big deal. Here we go. Vet Aaron Gaming says, hey, yeah, use a Padme team to kill the Phasma Omicron. Over here, Undead 865 says, use the Jawas to kill the Phasma Omicron. At least most of it. Yeah, that's maybe taking care of it. Anyway, a Jawas? Really? That's a Inquisitors beating Phasma, and is that even a good Inquisitor team from Gerbil there? Let's see. It's Grand Inquisitor, but you know, yeah, okay. Phasma Omicron, can it beat the Geonosians? Well, that's exciting. Well, Geonosians TW, that's not so bad. That actually might be a use for Phasma if you can find a way to beat those Geonosians in TW. But overall speaking, you gotta really search out loud. You gotta really look out there to find those. Why does this keep popping up? I'm not watching this. I'm not watching that. Stop popping that up on my feed. Anyway, the Phasma Omicron really just isn't providing a lot of value in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and the Phasma team in general, really easy to beat, even if there is a first order TIE pilot Omicron in Grand Arena. And all it's used for, go farm your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and then just probably dispatch of this team. Because the other thing is, you got to add Omicrons for this thing to work. You got a lot of other places to add Omicrons before you're going to get to first order TIE pilot or Phasma over there. I just leave Phasma on the dustbin. And coming up next is going to be a Carth Onasi Old Republic team. I know you guys are going to yell at me about the Zalbar Omicron. It does seem like Zalbar Omicron works okay in 3v3 when you've got a Darth Revan lead, but talk about, like, text. Holy crap. But in 5v5, it doesn't seem to be adding a lot of value to the Carth Onasi team, and maybe you found a use for it, and I might be mistaken here. I might be mistaken, but I tried to look up counters, and I was not finding a lot of juice for the Zalbar Omicron there. And, you know, if you are going to use it, use that Zalbar Omicron with the Carth Onasi team. But this team has kind of been a turd for a long time in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And let's go take a look at some videos I found out there, which weren't that many. And here's some content. Here's one from Carth Overwrath a month ago. Old Republic Zalbar Omicron versus Inquisitors. Well, that's great. Except then you realize that it is a fifth brother lead. I mean, if you can't find a team to beat a fifth brother lead, I'm worried for your I don't know, man. That's not much going on. And these have Jedi Knight Revan in them, by the way. He's gonna end up being, you want to have him in your Jedi Knight Luke team or Jedi Master Luke team, or there's other places you want Jedi Knight Revan rather than a Carth Onasi team. Here it is, beating General Grievous and Stap in Grand Arena. Okay, I can beat that. I can still beat that with Wampa, even with Stap in there. Maybe not, I don't know. But I just feel like there's a lot of counters for General Grievous, even with Stap. Ewoks? Seriously? Ewoks? Carth Overwrath. Hey, man, I'm glad. Well, you went to town on this. These are all the same guy. So he went to town on this Zalbar Omicron, and here it is beating Finn with Zori. Is it beating actually? Let's take a look here. Let's see here. This is beating a Zori team. Okay, that's nice. I can use Night Sisters there. There's a lot of different stuff I can use with the Carth Onasi team. I don't really find the Zalbar Omicron in 5v5 to really lift this team to a level, you know, a significant level that it wasn't already at before, which was not much of a level. So Carth Onasi, generally, if you don't have the Zalbar Omicron, by the way, and you've got a Zeta on OG Kylo, in our previous team, the Phasma team, OG Kylo, he can solo this. Now, here we are in 2025. Are you guys, since you're in in Zeta hell for the most part, are you adding a Zeta to OG Kylo? Probably not. Probably not, but yeah, Carth Onasi not really coming in high on the hit list for most of us these days. And coming up next, we got your Chief Chirpa Ewoks. Now, we need them to unlock C-3PO, we know that, and previously, by the way, you need the Carth Onasi to unlock Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan, I get that, so they're useful for that, but then just toss them. The Ewoks, I did it on my account. I had Nisa in there. I had no Wicket and I had Nisa. I had them all at Gear 7 and I unlocked C-3PO on my account without even great mods being on there. You know, Nisa does lift this team, but does it lift this team to being something that can really perform in Grand Arena or other levels of, or other game modes in Galaxy Heroes? I'm actually gonna have a little bit of fun here. We're gonna look at a Gerbil video. You know, Gerbil, my pal, my buddy, he loves the Ewoks, and I don't mean he likes the Ewoks. I don't mean he is an Ewok enjoyer. I mean he is an Ewok lover. He has them all at Relic 9, and this is from a while ago. When was this video? 1 year ago? That means February 2024. Okay, so he, you know, initially got this team, and he just god modded them as well. Like, he took their mods up to crazy levels, and was using them in Grand Arena to have some fun. So, you know, beating Lord Vader, I don't know if that was a full Lord Vader beat, or just like a cleanup there. I feel like that was probably a cleanup. Oh, that was just 3. I don't know. I can't tell. But, you know, actually, Gerbil was doing some stuff in Grand Arena with the Ewoks. But in order to do that, he had to apply all the Zetas, God mod them, get them to Relic 9, and then his Ewoks did some stuff for him and did some holds on defense. I'm going to venture to guess. Now, I may be crazy here, but I'm going to venture to guess that most of you guys have better ideas of things to do with your Ewoks than adding Zetas and taking them to Relic 9 and putting all your best mods on your Ewoks. Of course, we do need 3 of them at Relic, 2 of them at Relic 3, Chirpa and Wicket for Leia Organa, and then we need Nisa at Relic 7 for Leia Organa. Even with all of that, these guys, they can be a cleanup crew in the right situation in Grand Arena. They don't really have any territory wars action going on that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm missing something, but Ewoks, you know, I'm not putting these in order of relevance, but Ewoks, I'm definitely putting there at one of the worst 5 teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Even though they're required for C-3PO, but you don't have to do very much with them anymore to get C-3PO unlocked. So get your Nisa unlocked, unlock C-3PO, move on with your life, do the relics you need for Leia Organa, and then forget about the Ewoks. Maybe save them for the occasional cleanup if you need to do that. Does he kill Lord Vader here eventually? It's taking a long time. I guess he does. Here it is. Took him 3 minutes, but he did kill Lord Vader. Now, he's very excited, but he had a big smile. Got a big nub smile for doing that. Now, the last character team we're going to look at today, and I'm going to follow this with one fleet, is the Tarful Wookiees. I remember when these first came out, everybody was really excited. They started gearing up their Wookiees, started getting out there to play with them. I remember Glurbit was loving his Wookiees and everything, but I mean, they're just really not being used. And I've got Zalbar in here. I don't know. You could put different Wookiees in, I guess. You could put, see, anybody else. If I'm putting Kersantin, well, that's out. You take him out of my Jabba team, and nobody's farming Kersantin if you don't have Jabba. Then Chewie and Chupio, they go in my CLS team. So you end up with Zalbar. Are you going to put somebody like Barriss Offee or somebody in here? I don't know. They're just not getting a lot of action. There's not a lot of work for them. Tarful himself does have a Territory Wars Omicron. Maybe you guys are using him in Territory Wars and I'm missing out here. But for looking at this, and I had to really dig for this, I was like, man, are these guys even being used? And to answer that question, we can just turn to swgoh.gg for Grand Arena. On defense, they were placed on defense 1,000 times. And they were just smoked 85%, 1,000 times. Just really not doing, and yeah, I mean, by the way, Zalbar's Omicron has nothing to do with Wookiees. It has all to do with Old Republic. So it's not going to help you with these Wookiees, but they're just getting smoked. Any number of teams are beating them along the way. I mean, there's a lot of counters to these Zalbar. If you look at them on offense here, they were only used 228 times on offense and a 41% win percentage. I looked at 3v3 to check that too. Little more on defense in 3v3 because I think you have to field more teams, right? So 2,378 battles, losing it at 84% clip, basically the same as 85% over here. Yeah, I'm rounding up, sue me. And then over on offense, only using 591 battles and not really winning very much, although performing pretty well 3v3 against this Qui-Gon Omicron. So maybe they can use them there against the Qui-Gon Omicron. I haven't really seen, I tried to look up a bunch of YouTube footage for this too. I just didn't find much. I really didn't find much at all to tell me that there is a lot of Tarful activity going on in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. The one benefit here when you look at this team is that Tarful himself is required for Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, but you only got to get him to Gear 12. You don't even have to apply any Zetas to do that. So congratulations to you for not wasting Zetas on a character that's not really going to help you out very much. Veteran Smuggler Chewie doesn't really fit a lot of places. Clone Wars Chewie, Vandor Chewie has uses on a Dash Rendar team, and then Zalbar doesn't fit on it. So the fifth is going to be not even a Wookiee. I don't even know what to do with this team. So that's your number 4 team that's doing nobody no good in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Correct me if I'm wrong. And finally, we turn our sights to the home one. Just a completely forgotten relic in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Yeah, you can use it temporarily while you're farming up that Profundity fleet. As soon as you get Profundity, good night, Gracie. There's nowhere to use home one. You know, we can use the Executrix for the Executor counters with the Scythe. We can use Executrix in Rise Empire territory battles. There's a lot of uses for Endurance to counter Executors as well. So that's just the 3 starter fleets. All the other fleets have uses and places where they're used in game. Home one, abandoned. No good, sitting out there, unused. This is why, again, my pal, hey, Summit, thanks for subscribing. I didn't turn off the alerts there, but welcome aboard, Summit. One thing that, what was I talking about? Oh, my pal Gerbil had a fleet a couple years ago where he started a new free-to-play. He farmed the Raven's Claw and Kyle Katarn, Wedge, and I mean, these are the only 3 ships you can use outside of Profundity. That's the Profundity fleet over there. There's just nothing to do with this fleet. You can't really do it. Again, it might just be a fill-in kind of fleet until you get to Profundity, but nobody should start with Profundity. And the home one just fades. It doesn't get used very often early in the game. It's just kind of a garbage capital ship that's sitting out there unused. Oh, that's why my pal Gerbil had speculated that maybe this year, instead of getting a full capital ship fleet, we'll just get some new Rebel ships like A-Wing, B-Wing, maybe we'll get Red 5, maybe we'll get Gold Leader, I don't know, Red Leader, get some ships like that and elevate, maybe we can elevate the home one, but it would take an additional 4 or 5 ships to get that to happen. So will that happen? That would be, I think that'd be really interesting. Just to, instead of bringing us a new capital fleet, bring us a bunch of rebel ships that we really want to see in the game, and we throw them onto the home one, or we mix and match between home one and Profundity in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. So there you go, boys and girls. And I didn't find any footage for this. There's just nothing going on with home one. Whenever I see home one on defense in Grand Arena, I just stomp it. It's a fleet that just gets put out there and gets beaten to shreds every time it is. And there you go. I'm sure what's going to happen now is I'm going to get a bunch of comments from a bunch of people objecting and saying, I use this team all the time in this game mode for all this great stuff. It doesn't make it not one of the worst 5 teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. It just means that you found a way to use it. And congratulations. Maybe your comment getting upset with me because you use that team will help other people to find value for these teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. But from what I can see, the only way these teams will be finding a lot of value in this game going forward will be if they get lifters or some kind of reworks. And reworks don't happen very often anymore, but some kind of lifters down the road, or maybe, Datacrons to help them out. So there you go. There's my bottom 5 teams in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. It was a difficult journey because every team has a use. Almost every team has a use in this game. Even if they're not useful in battles, they're useful for like big farms. I know I contradicted myself because Phasma, Old Republic, I know, Ewoks, whatever. That's all I got. Have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. And always remember, Nooch too good.